Hello, I'm Greg Jamian, and welcome to Boomer Health at Home. As more baby boomers receive medical services at home, there are many questions that pop up that require sometimes quick answers. I have put together a series of short segments with healthcare professionals that will help explain how things work, along with answers to common questions found in home-based care. I hope you find the following information helpful.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Boomer Health at Home. I'm your host, Ryan Donnellan. Joining me as co-host today is AmeriCare Digital Marketing Specialist, Brett Pulte. Brett, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Today is going to be a topic that I think is important to everyone. It's about setting up wills and trusts and to make sure that you cover your own assets. So joining me today to offer an expert's opinion is attorney James Zellen. James, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ryan.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, I got my undergraduate at Central Michigan University. I then went to Thomas M. Cooley School of Law, which is now the Western Michigan School of Law. I've had my license to practice for going on 12 years now, and I've been practicing in various fields of general practice, which includes doing probates and estates.
Great.
Good. So now, when do you recommend setting up a will and a trust?
Right now. I mean, there's no time like the present for, no matter the age, to make sure that you have an estate plan just in case something does happen. I mean, we all feel like we're invisible, that we're not going to pass until we're of advanced age, and that we can do it tomorrow. But things happen, people pass early. We want to make sure that our wishes with regards to our assets are taken care of, and what we worked so hard for goes to the people that we want it to go to.
Okay, what is the difference between a will and a trust?
A will and a trust both are used to advance your wishes, but they do so in a very different type of ways. A will is a written document which then gets probated in a probate court, where the probate court oversees its administration. A judge, and if it needs be, helps take care of any issues. There's overseen by the court. There's rules that control how wills go, how assets transfer. A trust, on the other hand, is kind of like a mini corporation, where you set yourself up as normally as the trustee of that corporation, which would like to be the CEO.
Okay.
And then you designate somebody to succeed you, which would be your successor trustee.
Great.
And so when you pass, that successor trustee steps into your place and then is able to distribute your assets just as you would, as the head of the company. But when you're a will, it's kind of like a sole proprietorship, where now instead of being able to sign over the title of a vehicle, the probate court has to come in and appoint a personal representative to then be able to step in your shoes and transfer property, because there's not somebody in life that can sign away that property to transfer it and to dispose of what the assets need to be disposed of.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that's very interesting. So when does someone need to actually file with the court?
If you have a will set up, you can file, once your will is executed, you can file a copy with the probate court in the county that you live in, as a sort of safekeeping for them to hold the will up until the point where you pass, and then when there's a probate filing to open the estate, then they already have it. Some people like to do that because it's there and it's kind of safeguarded. Some people like to keep it so they can make changes and and it's in their possession. So you don't really have to file anything with the court in life, but you can.
Okay. In your opinion, between the two, what are the pros and cons between wills and trusts?
With a will, it's cheap to get set up. That's one of the main reasons people do wills. They're a little less complicated. They have court oversight, so if you're concerned about your assets and where they're going, and if you don't trust your family necessarily to follow your wishes, it adds another layer of oversight to the process. But a will is more expensive on the back end. You're gonna have to pay the fee to open the estate. You're gonna have to pay an inventory fee based on what assets are there. It opens up your assets to creditors if there are any creditors out there that any bills that you've not paid prior to death. That creditors have to be made aware of any probate assets. So it opens up things like that. That's the main pros and cons for a will. For a trust, it's a little bit more cost to initially set up. You're going to not have as much oversight from the court or whatever. It allows a level of privacy. Where you have a will, you have to file an inventory of all your assets. So if you have $100,000 in this bank account and a house that's worth $1 million or what, that goes into public record, and anybody that wants to go into the probate court and look can find that. With a trust, there's not necessarily any court filings. All those assets the trust never gets filed with the court unless there's a real dispute, and oftentimes it's then sealed by the judge. But it doesn't become available to the general public, so there's a level of privacy there, and then the ease of transferring. There's less costs on the back end. But some of the cons, you have to fund the trust, which some people feel is a problem. You have to transfer assets like your house. You'd not have it in your name when you're in life, but you have it in the name of the trust, so that the trust then, but you'd be the trustee, so you can always transfer it back to yourself. It doesn't preclude you from, but it adds another layer of difficulty in transferring certain items. And then, just like kind of less oversight. If you feel like that if you don't have somebody you appoint to be a trustee in your family, your other choice is a bank, but oftentimes you have to have a large trust or a large amount of assets for the bank to be willing to oversee it, and then there's costs in that end.
Okay.
Good. So now, how would someone go about starting a will or a trust?
Well, with wills, there's a lot of forms available. You can even go to your public library and get some will forms, and you can kind of go it on your own. I never really recommend that. The forms may be the same forms that your attorney would use, but you don't necessarily know what those forms mean. And filling in a form just to fill in a form might get you what you need, but it might not.
Right.
And so it's always best to seek an attorney to have them help you with preparing of the document. They can help give you information as to how items are titled, what would be probated, what would be not, how you want to get things transferred to who you want them to be transferred. The probate code is very good at transferring to family members, but nowadays we have very difficult families with adoptions and non-traditional families and second marriages and things like that, where we have kids that we raise, might think of them as our own, but the law doesn't look at them as the same way. And if you want to make sure that they're getting what you want them to, it's always best to make sure you have the documentation in order to make sure that's accomplished.
Sure. Well, thank you. That's very informative. That's actually all the time we have today. If someone at home is looking for some legal advice or some consultation from you, where can they reach you?
You can reach me at my office. My telephone number is 248-647-8878. I'm located in Troy off of Big Beaver, and I'd be happy to take your call.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for being on here today. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions about any of the content you saw in today's show, please call us at 248-288-2270. Thank you for watching.